I wasn't supposed to stand out. That was the entire point of sending me here: blend in, observe, survive. No eye contact longer than 2 seconds. Speak only when spoken to. Smile once per day, max. And never, under any circumstance, provoke the apex species of this place. Zephyrian Academy was the galaxy's elite crucible, orbiting just outside Alpha Centauri's corona. The station's architecture was cold, jagged and mineral-rich, designed more for intimidation than comfort. It wasn't a school. It was a demonstration. Every corridor whispered hierarchy. Every room broadcast power. I kept to myself. Breakfasts were silent. Training modules, quietly efficient. I aced the orbital physics sim 3 days in. I noticed the murmurs starting then. Not loud, not yet. Just subtle, a pause in someone's stride, a longer glance in the corridor, the flick of a fork antenna tilting my way. I ignored it. Because attention here meant danger. Warning, Nix whispered softly in my skull. Tension markers detected in proximity. Dormitory Group Delta. Nix was the AI inside my neural socket, masked from the station's scans. Earth's gift to me when I left. Some students had assistants, mine was a ghost. Always watching. Always whispering things others missed. Noted, I thought back. I passed by Vrovka that morning without looking. 7 feet tall. Exochitin armor that shimmered faintly with psionic fields. Third arm flexing like a trophy. He was surrounded by the usual acolytes, smaller alien breeds who laughed 2 seconds too late and bowed slightly when he blinked. That's how you knew Vroth was near. The air shifted around him like prey sensing a storm. I made the mistake of slowing my step. Just slightly. A reflex. I caught his scent, burnt ozone and rusted copper, and hesitated. It was enough. His gaze fell on me. But he didn't act then. Just stared. Expression unreadable. I kept walking. By mid-cycle, my modules were finished. Bioadaptive ethics. Interspecies conflict theory. Kinetic defense. I outperformed everyone but said nothing. Even the instructor, a one-eyed Tellurian, raised a brow once. I gave no reaction. Blend. Always blend. But silence, I learned, becomes noise in the wrong context. In the mess hall, I sat at my usual corner, tray untouched, posture closed, attention low. Across the room, Vroth was finishing his second tray of protein slabs, loudly crushing a bone between his molars as he lectured a smaller Krith female on proper corridor yielding. She nodded without blinking. Then he stood. There were 60 of us there. I felt every gaze start to shift before I saw it. The tension hit like static. My gut told me to leave. Lean across, Vroth called. First time he'd used my name. My head turned slowly, unwillingly. I met his eyes. A mistake. Human, he said, stepping closer. You walk with arrogance. My heart beat once, hard. Then slowed. I'd trained for this. I walk with function, I replied. Gasps rippled. The Krith girl looked down. The Tellurian twins froze mid-chew. Vroth smiled. You speak as if equal, he said, closing the distance. But prey doesn't get to posture. He reached out, not fast, not sudden, and took my wrist. I didn't react. Not yet. My fingers stayed loose. My breathing stayed calm. But in my skull, Nix activated. Combat mode, available. Risk protocol level 1, justified. Override? I said nothing aloud. But I thought, yes. Time shifted. The world didn't slow, I accelerated. I saw the subtle bulge in his forearm joint, the weakness left from a psionic spar weeks ago. I felt the exact torque needed to dislocate his third shoulder. I calculated the physics of his stance, weight left biased, rear heel floating. All in less than a breath. I moved. Step 1, shift weight. Pivot 13 degrees. Twist wrist under his grip, break his hold without damage. Step 2, drive knee into pressure point beneath lower thoracic chitin. That stunned him. His third arm jerked, I grabbed it, turned, and let his own momentum roll him over my hip. He hit the floor hard. In silence. It had taken 5.8 seconds. He roared and surged back up, but I was already past him. I jabbed 2 fingers behind his ear, a sensory overload point. He stumbled. I caught his balance mid-fall, used it against him, and rolled him again. This time I didn't let go. He slammed down. Disarmed. Arm joints folded the wrong way. Eyes wide. I knelt beside him. Voice low. You made 3 mistakes, I whispered. 1, you touched a human. 2, you assumed silence meant weakness. And 3. I leaned in just enough for him to feel the warmth of my breath. You didn't ask what we are trained to survive. I stood. Around me, no one moved. No one even breathed. I walked out. Nix whispered, softly amused, 6.4 seconds. Would have been faster if you skipped the dramatic pause. I didn't smile. There's a certain silence that follows an incident like that. Not relief. Not shock. Something colder. No one spoke as I left the mess hall. Not one whisper. No trailing footsteps. Just the soft thrum of the hallway lights and the rhythmic pulse of the gravity stabilizers under the floor. Nix broke the quiet first. 5 dorm cameras offline during incident. Feed corruption timed within a 0.2 second sync interval. Someone scrubbed it. I didn't answer right away. I knew what that meant. They didn't want witnesses, Nix added. Or they didn't want evidence of failure. I reached the lift. A Krith technician stepped out, took one look at me, and backed away. Smart. Inside, the reflective walls showed me as I was, short, expressionless, still breathing like I hadn't just dropped a Zephyrite Warborn in front of half the academy. I tapped the panel. Floor 27. Isolation wing. No one would follow. They'll come again, Nix said. I knew. 2 hours later, the call came. A polite chime in my ear. Cadet Cross, the voice said, clinical and flat. You are to report to Tribunal Chamber B3 for immediate inquiry. Bring no weapons. I stood, adjusted my uniform. Clean lines. No trace of sweat or impact. No sign I'd fought anyone. Just a quiet human girl, following orders. Tribunal Chamber B3 smelled of sterilized stone and old air. 3 high-ranking officials sat behind the curved desk, 1 Zalari, 1 Osvalian, and 1 neutral human delegate. The mix was strategic. Vrothka stood at the center, flanked by medical drones. His right arm hung limp. The other 2 were bandaged and twitching. His breathing was slow, controlled. He wouldn't look at me. State your sequence of actions, the Zalari said. Her voice buzzed like static. Begin from the first provocation. I gave it to them exactly as it happened. No embellishments. No tone. Just fact. He gripped my wrist. I responded per Earth Cadet Defensive Protocol 7, subsection 3.2. No lethal force applied. The Osvalian clicked his mandibles. 3 joint dislocations are not considered lethal, but they are excessive. I kept my gaze level. Not if the attacker is over 200 kilograms and covered in psionic absorbent armor. Escalation was calculated, not emotional. The human delegate, a quiet woman in a gray robe, simply nodded. Witnesses confirm she warned him, she said. 3 verbal cues prior to engagement. Neural log shows 0 premeditation. Earth protocol holds. There was a pause. The Zalari exhaled, releasing a mist of cold vapor. No action will be taken, she announced. This matter is concluded. But that was a formality. Everyone knew nothing was concluded. I stepped out into the corridor. Vroth was gone. The air smelled sharper than before. Nix pulsed. Data traffic to Zephyrite Council node just spiked. 6 flagged terms: shame, retaliation, outsider, earth, discipline, and replacement. They'll want a rematch, I said quietly. Or a public humiliation. I didn't reply. That night, my door blinked amber. Someone had activated a duel request. Official. Sanctioned. The terms scrolled across the screen: combat simulation. Non-lethal. Intelligence tier approved. Public viewing permitted. I read it twice. Vroth's name was at the bottom. Nix spoke, almost amused. He's trying to win back honor. But not through strength this time. Smart, I muttered. A fight he knows he'll lose physically, so he changes the rules. Simulation combat relies on tactics. Strategy. It's a battle of perception. Exactly what I trained for. The next day, the simulation chamber was full. Word had traveled. Students lined the upper decks. Instructors watched from the control screens. Every species present. Every rank. I stood on one side of the field. Vroth, on the other, strapped into the neural rig. He looked healed. Mostly. But his stare held something new, not rage. Not even hate. Caution. Ready, a voice called from the booth above. We both nodded. The countdown began. 3. My fingers flexed over the neural interface. Nix synced perfectly. Reaction time dropped to subhuman levels. 2. Vroth crouched slightly. Zephyrite psi field igniting like blue fire around his frame. He was going in fast. 1. I dropped my heat signature to 0. Neural masking engaged. Start. He lunged. I moved before his foot even hit the sim floor. Dodged left, spun up a mimic of a Tellurian pulse blade, feinted high, and swept his leg from under him. He hit hard but rolled back, retaliating with a double strike, one real, one illusion. Good. He'd learned a few tricks. But I wasn't here to win by muscle. I let him chase me across the sim grid, step by step leading him through a trap laid 3 moves prior. His own movement pattern created a mirrored blind spot. I appeared behind him. One tap to the base of the neck. The system froze. Simulation complete. Human cadet, victory. No cheers. No gasps. Just silence. Again. I removed my neural ring, breathing steady. Vroth didn't get up right away. When he did, he didn't look at me. He just turned, walked away. But I felt it. The shift. Not fear. Recognition. Later that night, I received a message. Not through the station's official comms. Handwritten. Earth style. Folded precisely. I opened it slowly. Inside, one line. You are no longer prey. But now you are a threat. Nix scanned it. Untraceable. Hand-delivered. Analysis, warning, or invitation. Maybe both. By the next cycle, I wasn't Alina Cross anymore. Not to them. Now, I was the human. They didn't say it with contempt. Not anymore. They said it like you'd say blade or detonation. Quiet. Respectful. Cautious. In the halls, no one brushed too close. Conversations stopped when I entered. Even the Krith janitors, who rarely acknowledged student presence, nodded as I passed. I hadn't asked for any of it. I just wanted to be left alone. But Zephyrine Academy didn't reward silence. It weaponized it. The Earth envoy arrived 3 days after the simulation. A gray-suited man named Vance Kilroy, eyes sharp as razors, flanked by a legal AI that floated silently behind him. He met me in the observation dome. Ms. Cross, he said, sitting opposite me, do you realize what you've done? I didn't answer. He placed a tablet on the table. Dozens of headlines flickered across the screen, news nodes from every major system. Human cadet topples Zephyrite elite, alone. Earth's quiet weapon. Zephyrian Academy loses control? I kept my eyes on the stars. Kilroy lowered his voice. You've just shifted diplomatic gravity, girl. You embarrassed a noble-born Zephyrite. Twice. The other species are watching. They want to know if it was luck, or proof. I defended myself, I said. Exactly, he replied. You didn't attack. That's what scares them. They don't know what else you're capable of, because you held back. Nix whispered from inside my skull. He's not warning you. He's measuring how much control you have. Kilroy leaned back. They'll push back, Alina. Not with fists. With systems. With protocol. With optics. What are you asking me to do? I asked. He smiled faintly. Nothing. You already did it. He stood and left without another word. The following week, everything changed, subtly. Instructors began assigning me high-risk simulations. Time trials. Dual adversaries. Restricted tools. Public viewings. I beat them all. Sometimes barely. Sometimes cleanly. But always, without flair. I let my results speak. And they echoed. Then came the delegation. A collective of non-dominant species, Zalari, Krith, even a few minor Osvalian caste members, approached me during ration hour. No one spoke loudly. They didn't sit. Just stood nearby, waiting. One stepped forward. Her name was Visha, a Zalari tech weaver. Short, soft-spoken, her eyes never stopped scanning the room. You proved something, she said. That they can be beaten. That rules aren't written in stone. We notice things. I didn't reply. She took it as permission to continue. Some of us have ideas. 4. Balance. Not rebellion. Just fairness. Quiet fairness. I'm not here to lead anything, I said plainly. You already are, she replied, bowing slightly. She left before I could answer. That night, my door chimed again. Another note. No signature. Just a phrase. A blade that doesn't move still casts a shadow. Nix ran an analysis. Same handwriting. Different ink source. Someone's watching. Carefully. I looked out the window. Zephyrion's twin moons shimmered over the outer rings. Stars felt closer here. Brighter. But all I saw was the long corridor of consequences I hadn't asked to walk. The next day, Vrothka returned. Not to fight. Not to threaten. Just to stand. I was in the tactical lab, finishing a multi-species strategy drill, when he entered. He watched silently as I ran the scenario: trap, misdirection, controlled collapse. No comment. No mockery. Just quiet. When I finished, he spoke. You were trained well, he said. Earth didn't send a student. They sent a message. I met his eyes. You put your hands on the wrong girl. That was the message. He didn't flinch. And I've read it. He stepped closer, slowly, deliberately. If you remain here, the Academy will shift. Not because they accept you. But because they fear what others might become because of you. Then they should have left me alone, I said. He gave a low, gravel-like chuckle. Perhaps. But fear isn't always the wrong response. He turned to go. Then paused. One day, another will try to prove something. To climb over you. I stood. They can try. Later, I uploaded a private log. Not to Earth Command. Not to Kilroy. Just to my old file, the encrypted archive where I used to leave messages for my brother. Entry number 47. Subject: Quiet Control. I never wanted this. I just wanted to matter. Not as a weapon. Not as a symbol. Just as me. But I think that option's gone now. I became something they can't ignore. That means I'll never be invisible again. But maybe that's fine. Maybe it's time someone reminded the galaxy who we are. Not saviors. Not monsters. Just human. And we don't break easy. Alina. The stars outside the dome didn't flicker. But inside me, something had changed. I wasn't hiding anymore. Not because I wanted attention. But because silence had become louder than any scream. It started with a chair. Mine, in the back left corner of Lecture Hall Delta. Always empty. Always mine. Today, someone was sitting in it. She was tall, bone-pale, with 4 narrow eyes and wrists that flicked like wires under tension. Tarsali species, known for psychic mirroring. Rare, private, dangerous in the wrong hands. I paused, said nothing, and sat 2 rows up instead. She didn't speak. Didn't even look at me. But she had claimed the space. Nyx hummed in my head. Deliberate positioning. Status maneuver. Not hostile yet. But close. Let's wait, I replied mentally. 2 lectures passed without incident. Galactic ethics and applied tactical silence. Both taught by a Krith elder who never blinked and only smiled when someone failed. I aced both modules. Still, the Tarsali stayed silent. But others started watching her. Then me. Then the space between us. This wasn't curiosity. It was alignment. Later, in the corridor, the Tarsali stepped into my path. No words. Just a firm block of movement. You're her, she said finally. Her voice was too smooth. Practiced. I met her gaze. Depends who you think I am. The shift. The breach in the pattern. They say you broke hierarchy. I defended myself. They call it revolution. I took a slow breath. I don't lead revolutions. I finish fights. She studied me, tilting her head slightly. That's why they fear you. Do you? She smiled. Not yet. She walked away. That evening, I ran my diagnostics with Nyx. Neural reflex response was up 6%. Stress markers stable. Threat proximity up by 18%. Watch your 6, Nyx said. You're the new center of gravity. Everything's starting to tilt toward or away from you. I didn't ask for that. Doesn't matter anymore. By week's end, 2 more species approached me, a blunt-spoken Dravari and a silent duo of shadow-cloaked Onari. They didn't come with questions. They came with assumptions. Zephyrian's broken, the Dravari said. They just don't know it yet. The Onari simply placed a small silver chip in my hand. No symbols. No words. Just potential. Later, Nyx decoded it. Encrypted invitations. Underground sparring circuit. Mixed species. Off-grid. I stared at the chip under the desk light. They were testing me again. But not for weakness. For willingness. 2 days passed. Then Vroth returned. Not to confront. To warn. We met near the propulsion archives, one of the few places still empty enough to speak without ears in the walls. They're forming something, he said. I didn't pretend confusion. Under me? No. Around you. I considered that. And you? I don't follow, he said. Not anymore. But you're watching. He nodded. Because when you break a pillar, the roof doesn't collapse. It shifts. And not all species survive the tilt. I waited. There's a faction forming, old blood, High Council spawn, the ones who believe order was divine. They want the hierarchy restored. And they've chosen someone. Who? He didn't answer. He didn't have to. I already knew. The Tarsali girl. Her stillness wasn't passivity. It was patience. She wasn't waiting to fight. She was waiting to inherit. The challenge came 3 nights later. No note this time. Just a light, violet, pulsing, over my door. A formal duel request. High tribunal sanctioned. Public. No weapons. No tech. Pure mental and physical contest. Opponent, Lasara of Tarsal. The message was clear: discredit me, and the system resets. Nyx ran the protocol. You can decline. It'll look weak, but not dishonorable. I stared at the light. No, I said. If I step back, she becomes the new symbol. You wanted invisibility. I wanted choice. They've taken that from me. Then take something back. The arena wasn't the sim chamber this time. It was the observatory dome, modified. Hollowed out into a sphere, with gravity nets that allowed multi-angle combat. No escape. Full view. Every seat was filled. No cheers. No boos. Just observation. Spectators, not fans. I stepped in first. My uniform plain. My hands bare. Lasara entered next. No weapons. No armor. Just calm, deadly poise. A voice echoed above, begin. She struck first, not with her body, but her mind. A ripple of psionic force hit like static across my skull. Pain, like freezing light behind the eyes. But I'd been trained for worse. I absorbed, deflected, grounded myself with breath. Then I moved, low sweep, elbow pivot, drive toward her flank. She mirrored me perfectly. The room spun as we turned upside down, gravity shifting to her control. I adapted. 3 seconds later, we were in a deadlock, locked at the wrist. You're not what I expected, she murmured. Neither are you. She broke first. I twisted, caught her leg, used the dome's own physics against her, bounce, spiral, collision. She landed hard. But she smiled. Blood on her lip. Maybe we do need someone like you, she said, voice hoarse. Then she lunged again. The fight lasted 28 seconds. The ending was decisive, not cruel. I pinned her with her own momentum, used her lockstep mirroring against her instincts. A clean hold. No injury. She tapped out. Silence again. Then the announcement. Victor, Alina Cross. Earth Cadet. No one clapped. But something cracked in the air. Not fear. Not respect. Change. Lasara stood slowly. No shame in her eyes. Just clarity. Now you are the center, she said. I looked around the dome. No longer invisible. No longer a question. I was the standard. And it terrified them. Good. Let them be terrified.